You know what's funny? For decades, we've been told that if you want a serious motorcycle, you buy Japanese. Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Suzuki, these were the gods of motorcycling. Then along comes this Chinese company called Kove, and they have the audacity to show up at Dakar and World Superbike like they belong there. In 2023, 3 unknown Chinese riders on Kove 450 rally bikes all finished Dakar's grueling 2-week race, an event with a 70% dropout rate. The funniest part? They actually do belong there. While we were all laughing at Chinese motorcycles, Kove was quietly building machines that are now forcing riders to rethink their loyalties. Let's find out how Kove Motorcycle is destroying everything and letting the Big Four in trouble. Number 1. The engineering revolution nobody saw coming. Kove worked closely with established component suppliers, Bosch for EFI, Yuan for suspension, and Taisko for brakes, using proven industry partners rather than reinventing every part. While we were all busy arguing about which Japanese bike was best, Kove quietly built relationships with the same suppliers that premium manufacturers use. These weren't just any partnerships either. We're talking about companies that provide components for bikes that cost as much as a small car. The 800X Adventure is the perfect example of this approach. This bike rolls up with components that you'd find on motorcycles costing twice as much. The Bosch fuel injection system is identical to what you'd get on a premium European bike. The suspension uses the same high-quality components that other manufacturers charge extra for. Even the braking system features Taisko calipers, ensuring stopping power that matches bikes in much higher price brackets. But here's the part that'll blow your mind. That 799 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine in the Kove 800X Rally, it shares similar dimensions and internal components with the KTM-LC 8C twin found in the 790 range. Same basic design, same engineering principles, just built in a different factory. The engine architecture is so similar that parts are nearly interchangeable. This isn't copying. This is smart engineering using proven designs. The really crazy part is how we obsess over where a bike is made when the actual components come from the same factories anyway. Your Japanese bike probably has components from all over the world. The frame might be welded in Japan, but everything bolted to it comes from suppliers who sell to everyone. Kove figured this out and decided to cut out the middleman markup. This levels the playing field in ways most riders don't even realize. When Kove can source the same 49mm inverted forks with 270mm of travel that premium manufacturers use, the only real difference becomes the badge on the tank. The suspension components are fully adjustable for compression and rebound, just like bikes costing twice as much. The rear shock delivers 240mm of travel with the same adjustability you'd expect from a high-end adventure bike. For off-road lightness, the 800X Rally swaps the welded subframe for bolt-on aluminum, cutting nearly 14 kilos and mirroring the weight-saving methods of premium rally bikes. This isn't some cheap trick. It's the same approach that European manufacturers use when they want to make their bikes lighter and more agile for off-road conditions. The result is motorcycles that perform like premium machines because they literally use the same parts. But all this engineering brilliance and smart component sourcing needed something more than just good specs on paper. It needed the ultimate test to prove these bikes could actually handle the real world. Number 2. The Dakar Desert Dreams and Harsh Reality Checks. That test came at the Dakar Rally, where bikes get pushed beyond their limits every single day. The desert doesn't care about your marketing budget or your fancy press releases. It only cares about one thing. Can your bike actually survive when everything goes wrong? The numbers tell the real story here. Every year, established brands with decades of experience show up to Dakar with millions in development money and teams of engineers. Then they watch their bikes break down in spectacular ways. KTM dominates the rally world, but even they've had years where mechanical failures knocked out their top riders. Honda spent years trying to figure out why their bikes kept failing before they finally got it right. Yamaha has had entire teams eliminated by mechanical problems that looked simple on paper, but turned deadly in the sand. That's what made Kove's decision to enter Dakar so bold. Here's a Chinese company that most people had never heard of, deciding to throw their hat in the ring at the world's most demanding motorcycle event. Their 450 rally bike packed a 799cc engine producing 95 HP in a machine weighing just 370 pounds dry. After their first Dakar finish in 2022, they came back in 2023 ready to prove this wasn't just beginner's luck. But here's where things get interesting. Dakar 2023 stretched across 14 days and covered over 5,000 miles through Saudi Arabia's most punishing terrain. We're talking about massive sand dunes that can swallow a motorcycle whole, rocky sections that destroy suspension components, and temperature swings that test every seal and gasket on the bike. Day after day, something amazing started happening. Through sand-choked filters, punishing heat spikes, and rock-shredding stages, where other teams often retired, Kove's bikes not only survived but completed all 12 stages in 2023. But this wasn't just about survival. Mason Klein proved Kove had genuine speed when he grabbed a 7th-place stage finish on SS6, showing these bikes could actually compete, not just endure. The really impressive part wasn't just that the bikes kept running. It was how they handled the specific challenges that usually destroy motorcycles at Dakar. Sand ingestion kills engines when air filters fail or seals give up. The Kove bikes showed no signs of internal damage even after days of running in fine sand. Vibration from constant high-speed riding over rough terrain breaks welds and cracks frames on bikes that seemed solid in testing. Kove's frames held up without stress fractures. Heat management became another telling test. Desert temperatures combined with hard riding create conditions that overwhelm cooling systems and destroy electronics. The Bosch components on the Kove bikes continued functioning normally while other machines suffered electrical failures. The fuel injection systems maintained proper operation even when ambient temperatures exceeded design specifications. By the final day, all three, Sunyer, Deng Liansong, and Fang Mingji Kove riders had completed the full 14-day race. This wasn't just finishing. This was proving that their motorcycles could handle the most extreme conditions possible without major mechanical failures. The completion rate spoke louder than any marketing campaign could. What Kove's Dakar participation really proved was credibility through real-world durability under the most extreme conditions possible. They demonstrated that their engineering, component choices, and manufacturing quality could withstand punishment that destroys bikes from manufacturers with decades more experience. But proving you can build a bike tough enough to survive the desert is one thing. Proving you can build one fast enough to compete against the world's best is something else entirely. Number 3. The World Superbike gamble that changed everything. WorldSSP300 requires pro-level budgets and flawless reliability, something Kove risked by showing up so soon. Most importantly, you need bikes that can actually compete. If you show up and finish dead last every race, you're not just wasting money, you're destroying your brand reputation on a global stage. Every race gets broadcast to millions of people. One mechanical failure or poor performance gets magnified across social media instantly. That's exactly what Kove decided to test in the World SSP300 Championship. Here's something wild. Most motorcycle companies spend decades building street cred before they even think about World Superbike. You start with basic bikes, maybe do some local racing, slowly build your reputation, and then after 20 years you might get invited to the big leagues. Kove looked at this traditional path and said, forget that. In 2023, they jumped straight from making adventure bikes to competing in World SSP300. Jumping from adventure bikes to World SSP300 in under 2 years was as bold as asking a touring rider to sprint on a supersport. Yet, Kove pulled it off. Think about what Kove was up against. Ducati has been perfecting race bikes for decades. Kawasaki brings years of engineering experience and unlimited budgets. Yamaha has won championships and knows exactly what works. These companies have entire departments dedicated to racing development. They employ former world champions as test riders. Their bikes benefit from millions of dollars in wind tunnel testing and computer simulations. World SSP300 requires way more than just fast bikes. You need entire racing ecosystems that most people never see. Teams of engineers analyze data from every practice session. Suspension specialists adjust settings based on track conditions and tire wear. Electronics experts fine-tune traction control and power delivery for each corner of each track. Tire specialists manage compounds and pressures throughout race weekends. All of this happens while mechanics rebuild engines and gearboxes between sessions. The difference between finishing Dakar and being competitive on a world stage is enormous. Dakar tests durability over 2 weeks. World SSP300 tests peak performance over 30 minutes. In the desert, consistency matters most. On the track, being 2 seconds slower means you're not even close to competitive. Racing demands perfection in areas that don't matter for adventure riding. Corner speed, braking precision, and power delivery that responds instantly to rider input. Racing insiders questioned whether Kove belonged in the paddock at all. The general feeling was that Chinese manufacturers should stick to making budget bikes for new riders. World Championship racing was supposed to be reserved for companies with proven track records and deep pockets. Many people expected Kove to embarrass themselves and prove that Chinese bikes still weren't ready for serious competition. But something incredible happened in March 2024 at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Julio Garcia was riding the Kove 350RR in WorldSSP300 when he crossed the finish line in second place. This wasn't just any podium finish, it was the first podium for a Chinese brand in WorldSSP300 history. Think about that for a second. After decades of Japanese and European dominance, a Chinese motorcycle had just proven it could compete at the highest level. The 312RR and 350RR race bikes showed serious engineering thought. The machines featured stronger torque at low RPM for better corner exit speed. The braking systems were designed specifically for racing conditions. Even small details like the single swing arm design were chosen to make tire changes faster during race weekends. These weren't converted street bikes, they were purpose-built racing machines. Number 4. The CF Moto Blueprint and Beyond. Like CF Moto's steady rise through KTM partnerships, Kove accelerated its credibility through direct racing success. CF Moto proved that Chinese manufacturers could crack the code through strategic partnerships, gradual market entry, and constant quality improvements. The question is whether Kove can simply copy CF Moto's playbook or if the market has changed too much. CF Moto had the luxury of entering a market where Chinese bikes were mostly ignored. Riders had low expectations, so any improvement felt impressive. Today's market is completely different. Riders know Chinese manufacturers can build quality bikes, so the bar is much higher. Kove's approach looks completely different. Where CF Moto spent years building credibility through gradual improvements, Kove jumped straight into racing. They went from making adventure bikes to competing in World Superbike Championship in record time. This racing-first strategy is either brilliant or risky, depending on how you look at it. The 2025 Kove 800X Rally is priced at around $12,000, positioning it competitively within the adventure motorcycle market while targeting riders who prioritize performance over budget pricing. Kove has some serious advantages that CF Moto didn't have when they started. Better initial funding means they can invest in quality from day one instead of gradually improving over years. Established supply chains give them access to premium components right away. Most importantly, their racing credibility provides instant performance credentials that money can't buy. The 800X Rally's lightweight is a perfect example of this advantage. With a wet weight of 394 pounds, it's significantly lighter than competitors. The Kove 450 Rally Pro Race Edition, priced around $13,000, shows they're not afraid to compete in premium segments where margins are better and brand perception matters more. But here's where things get interesting. Will the racing-first approach accelerate Kove's growth or complicate it? Racing success grabs attention fast, but it also creates expectations that every bike needs to live up to championship-level performance. CF Moto could gradually improve their reputation over time. Kove has to deliver premium performance right out of the gate. The really wild part is that Kove could become the next CF Moto success story, or even surpass it because they're entering with proven performance credentials rather than building them slowly over time. Their Dakar completions and World Superbike podium finishes give them instant credibility that CF Moto took years to earn through consistent quality improvements and market presence. This shift represents something much bigger than just two successful Chinese companies. It signals that the old rules about motorcycle industry hierarchy might not apply anymore. In conclusion, what this means for riders is that traditional brand hierarchies are crumbling fast. The Big Four built their reputation when quality meant everything and competition was limited. But that world doesn't exist anymore. Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, and Suzuki dominated because riders had few choices. Today, companies like Kove use the same suppliers and better engineering approaches. Kove isn't just another Chinese motorcycle company. They're proof that performance credentials matter more than factory locations. So here's my question. Would you consider swapping your Japanese bike for a Kove after seeing these racing results? Let me know in the comments.